Some people who watched that made comparisons between a rally that happened at Madison Square Garden in 1939 with neo-Nazis or Nazis back then. Do you see those comparisons?
Donald Trump this is not new about him, by the way. What he did last night is not a discovery.
What a weekend that it was, because we are now having to talk about MSNBC, CNN, Kamala Harris and her campaign all losing it because of some comments that a comedian made at this historic Madison Square Garden Trump rally. So what we're going to do is talk about some of these stories and definitely fact check a couple of things, because you know the media likes to take anything that is coming from the Trump campaign or Trump himself and turn it into something that it is not. Let's start with the actual comments from the comedian that got a lot of backlash. Listen.
A lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody.
All right. So this comedian, he has his own show called Kill Tony. That's number one. Number two, he's also part of this huge Netflix hit that was the roasting of Tom Brady, where he made much more offensive jokes. If you are looking for someone to truly roast a celebrity and not hold anything back, he would probably be at the top of the list. So it only begs the question, was it a smart play to have him there at the rally, or was it a bad idea? In the bigger picture of things, it wasn't a bad idea because he had a lot of jokes that were funny. And then we know we're dealing with the opposing party, the Democratic Party, who are all about being politically correct, highly sensitive to anything that they would say is offensive. Okay, so now what we're going to do is play you some of the meltdown, and it's just endless. So I'm going to just take the best highlights that I've seen that are really deranged, and then we're going to follow up with obviously debunking the craziness. Let's start with what CNN had to say during the rally. Watch this.
It's worth noting that while we showed you that joke about the pile of garbage that comedian made, he also said something else about Latino voters that I can't play because I know a lot of you are probably at the breakfast table with your little kids, and if we played it, you'd have to shut us off because it was so incredibly crude that it's a family program and we're just not going to do it.
I didn't know that CNN was a family program. Did you? I find that to be funny because all day long they're playing Hitler and, you know, all this other offensive stuff. So now all of a sudden they don't want to play it. Now, really quick, if you don't think CNN is not a family program, MSNBC is definitely not one. I want you to look at the screen at the bottom and how they labeled the rally.
But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally. A rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners.
All right, now before we go any further, I'm going to give you guys some facts here because I have it here on my screen and I want you guys to remember this as we go throughout this video. Who are all the presidential candidates or presidents who have held convention or events at Madison Square Garden? Let me give it to you, okay? Ronald Reagan is one. Jimmy Carter, number two. Let's see here. Donald Trump, obviously. JFK. Those are just the four that I could find. I tried searching on Google, and of course, Google manipulates what comes back in the results. It won't even want to answer my question, which is funny. But anyways, yeah, I think that's important to know. Okay, so we've talked about this at length. Okay, that type of messaging is not going to win Kamala Harris the election, but don't tell MSNBC that because they're all in, right? They're going to do whatever they can to label Trump a Nazi, which again, is highly offensive, not even to Trump. I'm talking about people who actually had family members who were a part of that era. But anyways, I digress. So the crying continues on MSNBC. Watch.
I think a lot of people are seeing that rally at Madison Square Garden, seeing all those people. Doesn't mean he's going to win the race. But my point is it's discouraging that so many people would gather and rally to hate speech in America, that it's discouraging and it hurts that people who have family in Puerto Rico who are Puerto Rican Americans, who are American citizens, are hearing hate like that. It's discouraging.
All right. She looked like she was about to cry, unfortunately, because, I keep saying this. If Trump wins, there will be a mental health crisis. I mean, it's very sad for people out there that they literally hang on every word that comes out of Trump's mouth. And by the way, that the comment that they're really all triggered over didn't even come out of Trump's mouth. So I find it funny that they're saying Trump said it. They insinuate that, but really that's not what happened. But anyways, wow, instead of focusing on why people should vote for Kamala Harris, they are so wet over Trump. And so I just think it's going to lose her this election. OK, this was not a Nazi rally. I thought that was idiotic at best, ignorant. This was not in the name of hate speech. You had Dr. Phil on the stage. I don't think this was a hate speech rally. OK, so there's that. And so MSNBC, they took another further step and they brought AOC on to give her take. And let me give you a warning. She's just unhinged. Watch.
See the breadcrumbs and the puzzle pieces that are being put together by the Republican Party right now. Even the way that they are dropping polls, the number of polls, the way that they are trying to outnumber Republican-skewed polls, and the way that they are undermining elections, mail-in ballots. We're also seeing a widely reported incident of a manipulated video about burned, an attack or ripped up ballots in Pennsylvania that was proved to be fraudulent. All of this is exactly a replay of what Donald Trump did on January 6th. We don't have to think about if this is what happens. This is their playbook that they have used that led to the deaths of multiple people on January 6th. This led to one of the largest attacks in American history on the American Capitol, on U.S. soil. And it was done by exactly this rhetoric.
I just have to say this really quick. I joined the military because of 9/11. I find it so disrespectful that they keep saying this is the biggest attack on American soil. Are you forgetting 9/11, lady, where people literally died, thousands, and like even more after the fact? What are you talking about? All right, I know it's painful listening to people like that, but I want to kind of tell this entire story and how crazy the media is reacting to this rally. And of course, they're not going to report the facts, right? So here's Kamala Harris reacting to the rally as well and supporting the idea that this was a Nazi rally. Watch.
One follow-up to your remarks about President Trump's rally last night. Some people who watched that made comparisons between a rally that happened at Madison Square Garden in 1939 with neo-Nazis or Nazis back then. Do you see those comparisons? And can you also expand on what he said and what you said yesterday about Puerto Rico?
Donald Trump this is not new about him, by the way. What he did last night is not a discovery. It is just more of the same and maybe more vivid than usual. Donald Trump spends full time trying to have Americans point their finger at each other, fans the fuel of hate and division, and that's why people are exhausted with him.
Yeah, so I have a new word for Kamala Harris. She's a walking contradiction, okay? So you say that he is the person creating divisiveness and hate, and that's why people are exhausted from him. But we keep hearing from undecided voters, independents, and even Democrats that are exhausted of your closing message, where you are divisive and hateful towards Trump by calling him Adolf Hitler. Tell me how that makes sense. And don't try to pull the whole politician response. Well, I'm not saying it. I'm just repeating what John Kelly said. John Kelly is the one that's saying it. We're not stupid, okay? You're regurgitating a talking point. Right. And it's one that in a fair world, you would be condemned for even bringing up, because it's interesting that when conservatives bring up the Nazis and what happened, they get a lot of backlash. But when you on the left bring that up, and as long as it's attached to Trump, oh, it's OK. Now, Kamala Harris, she still has a boss, Sleepy Joe Biden, and he had some words for Trump as well. Watch.
Can you come here and comment on former President Trump's rally yesterday? He was saying a bunch of stuff about immigrants.
It's just simply embarrassing. It's beneath any president, but that's what we're getting used to. That's why this election is so important. You know, most of the presidential scholars I've spoken to talk about the single most consequential thing about a president's character. And he puts that in question every time he opens it.
All right, so Joe Biden, he doesn't know what he's saying, okay? It's all the same stuff, that we hear from him about Trump. And, his problem right now is him and Kamala Harris are not even on the same page. I mean, he's trying to do rallies for her that she's not even present for, doesn't even mention. And it's just interesting how crazy that dynamic is entirely. But anyways, so that's what his comments were, which are nothing. And then that takes us to what Byron Donalds had to say, because he was one of these speakers and he is black. And so if it was a Nazi rally, why would he be there?
Was there the entire time. So to the New York Daily News, is it a racist rally if you have a black man from Florida who's originally from New York speaking at the rally? I don't think so. This is the problem with most media today. They're too busy trying to fearmonger everything it's instead of actually talking about the facts and the substance. It was a great rally last night. Donald Trump obviously spoke. Did he say something that was off color? No, he did not. I spoke. Did I say something off color? No, I did not. Eric Trump, Laura Trump, Don Trump Jr., Elon Musk, Howard Lutnick. Did they say anything that was off color? No, they did not.
Distanced himself from the comedian who was there and the comments that he made.
I didn't agree with the comedian said. None of us did. When it came out, we were all like,
distanced himself.
Yeah, of course. We were all like, wait, what? Who? Did that get up? No. Nobody agreed with that. Nobody.
Okay, so he made a phenomenal point. Before I get to that, do us a favor. If you're getting value from this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below, grab yourself a t-shirt or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, what the media is doing at this point, some people would call it fear porn, okay? Everything is about fear. Fear, fear, fear. You should be scared of Donald Trump because he is Hitler, etc., etc. Like I stated, and you guys already know this, it isn't going to work, okay? It just is not going to work. And you think these people, they're smart enough to realize this, but I think it's a great example of human behavior. They're so triggered. They're so emotionally involved in trying to stop Trump that they're not spending the energy they need on the message that will win Kamala Harris this election. Now, what I find to be interesting is not everybody in the media had 100% negative things to say about this rally. And when I say the media, I'm talking about the Trump deranged media, that is. ABC, Jonathan Karl, had this to say.
Look, I was there for about 6 hours yesterday. First thing I've got to say, Madison Square Garden was packed. People waited hours to get in. They sat through hour after hour of this rally. They were fervent in their devotion to all things Trump. Trump has created a movement. There is no doubt. I cannot think of another Republican figure of my lifetime who could have come into a Democratic city like New York and put together anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really should be the first point of this rally, okay? But obviously, they're not going to lead with that. But that was a more factual assessment of what this entire rally was about, even if that comment you yourself found was offensive. If you watched the entire rally, you would say, this was nothing short of historic because it was reported by Google that it was one of the top searched things on that day. So as far as the Trump campaign goes, this is a knockout win. Because remember, I told you guys, what the Trump campaign wants to continue to do, because you can't buy this type of attention. What he wants to do up to Election Day is dominate the media. And some of it's going to be bad, but a lot of it's going to be good. And if they continue to take the bait by reporting that he's a Nazi and all this other stuff, it actually backfires on the Kamala Harris campaign. So what they should do is stop giving him attention, but that's not going to happen. Okay, so let's go back to Congressman Byron Donalds, because it wasn't just one clip where he had to set the record straight. It was another clip.
Question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
And this is what I think, to the extent that there are folks who, by the way, may agree with the policies of Trump,
yes,
but don't want to vote for Trump. And those, some of those people. The reason that they don't want to vote for Trump is because they see either in his character or the people who seem to support him seem to be engaged in that or willing to engage in that, right? Because what you don't see, you don't go to other rallies for Harris or see in a Harris rally that kind of vitriol. It just you see. Look,
don't?
I don't think you do.
Kamala Harris spends half her time talking about her rival as Hitler, after he's been there have been attempts on his life, not once, but twice. She's doing it right now. Every Democrat official at these rallies refers to him as Adolf Hitler. You got Hillary Clinton running around there hawking her book that nobody wants to buy, frankly. And she's talking about how this is akin to 1939. Are you out of your mind? You want to talk about rhetoric? Let's compare. But let me go back. We are talking about the comments of a comedian. Right. And everybody's going to forget it in 48 hours. The real joke in America is the terrible policy of Kamala Harris. Let's talk specifically about Puerto Ricans in America today. Puerto Ricans have had to live under the same inflation unleashed by Kamala Harris. And that's not a joke, but they got to live with it.
You could tell that host, he's pushing the narrative, right? He's playing devil's advocate, or he truly does believe in what he's saying. He believes that comment deserves way more attention than anything else, which I find to be interesting, because if you really want to help Americans, you'd be focused on policy, but I guess not. So salutes to Byron Donalds, of course, for setting the record straight. So obviously there was a lot of negativity in the media as far as the coverage for this rally. However, Trump was definitely on message, was more positive, and here's how he closed out the rally that I think you will appreciate. Listen to this.
After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of the USA. With your help from now until Election Day, we will restore America's promise. We will put America first, and we will take back the nation that we all love. We bleed the same blood. We share the same home. And we salute the same great American flag. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever back down. And we will never, ever, ever, ever surrender. Together we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win.
So overall, amazing rally, smart decision. Some people will say, what the hell is he doing in New York? You're not getting the full picture. He's getting attention that you can't pay for, right? You just cannot pay for the attention that he is getting. Kamala Harris wishes she could get the same level of attention if she could. She tried with the Beyonce thing and that backfired, clearly. So the Trump campaign, they know what they're doing, and this is what they're going to continue to do, because reports are now that he's going to go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, by the way, because clearly he's in the margin of error in that state. He's heading to Virginia on Saturday because polling has him down by 1 or up by 1, depending on which one you look at. And then there's a new poll that came out today from New Hampshire showing him up by 3. I mean, this is not good for Kamala Harris. So the media is showing you guys once again why they have zero credibility, why they will become the dinosaurs of the past, and why independent creators will dominate because they can't tell the truth to save their life. And that is my opinion. So what do you guys think about the rally? Did you watch it yourself? What did you think about Tony's joke about Puerto Ricans and the Latino joke? Because I guess that got backlash too. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you are Puerto Rican, comment below. Let me know what you thought about it. I'm sure you have common sense. And just the desperation from the reaction that you saw in this video. So let me know. Now, one reason why we are continuing to see this level of desperation is because Kamala Harris's campaign and the rallies that they're hosting are starting to face a lot of backlash, meaning there's a lot of people heckling her, booing her. And just this past Sunday, yesterday, she was booed at a church. I mean, how does that happen? If you want to see me react to that video, you can click on it because it's coming up right now.